All right, welcome to the Robert Show. I'm your host, Robert Jain, and today we are super excited because we have someone special joining us, Ronen Schwartz, CEO of K2View, a leader in data and AI. We'll be discussing how to get your data GenAI ready, grounding large language models with real-time enterprise data using retrieval augmented generation frameworks. We'll also explore key elements like data privacy, scalability, and future of AI-driven insights. So let's dive in. I'm going to bring up Ronen without any further ado, and let's do it. Ronen, welcome to the Robert Show. Such a pleasure to host you today on the Robert Show, and super excited to chat about so many different things. You've been a fantastic leader in the data and AI world. So happy to chat a lot about GenAI, LLMs, K2View, and much more.
Arvit, it's great to be joining you. I'm a big fan, and I'm glad to be part of this excitement. Data, and AI is really happening right now, bringing massive change to the market. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
That's awesome. The excitement is equal, Ronan. And just for audience, would you like to quickly introduce yourself? Tell us more about K2View. Obviously, I know K2View since I've been following you guys since a while, and I've seen all the amazing work that K2View and team has done in this space. So, would love to learn a little about you and K2View.
Excellent. So my name is Ronen Schwartz, and I've been a leader in the data integration, data management, data cataloging, data infrastructure. Worked for in leadership role for companies like Informatica, like NetApp. Really been there in the beginning of the iPaaS, the beginning of cloud storage, and so on. Let me actually share a little bit about K2View. So
Would love
some
to.
people know K2 as this like famous mountain that is just here above me. It's one of the prettiest mountains that you can do. It's also one of the hardest to reach to the peak. And the K2View goal is really to enable data to be a product and really tackle this complex task and make it as simple as possible and bring as much value just as the view from the top of the mountain. So really what K2View does is create data products that enable you to have
Mhm.
real-time 360 view of the business, whether it is customers or product or anything else. And if data products have been key and important for, I think, definitely more than a decade, I think now with AI and Gen AI, how data can augment this new massive opportunity is putting it even more in the center. Um,
Mm.
Maybe one last sentence on K2View. K2View has been delivering this value very, very successfully to customers. It really, data products are available within a relatively short time, no more than a few weeks. And we've been doing it in massive scale with companies like AT&T and Sun Life and Verizon, Region Banks, Key Banks, and many, many others.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fantastic background, and thanks for sharing the details. Obviously, great work. As I said, I've seen the data products at K2View, and obviously, great names out there. AT&T, Sun Life, Verizon, Regions Bank, and Key Bank are huge. So you're catering to the enterprise companies out there, which is amazing. I'm kind of also curious to learn about what's your connection to data and Gen AI. How do you look at it? And kind of curious to learn a little about that as well.
So obviously, Gen AI is changing a lot of things, and it's actually bringing a massive opportunity. Making the
Hmm.
data ready for Gen AI is really, really critical to get the value from Gen AI, and especially for enterprises. How to take the data from the backend applications, from the CRM and the ERP, the customer service. How to bring information from Salesforce and SAP and ServiceNow and Atlassian, how to bring the information from the database where really the information is the enterprise key information, key systems of records are holding this information is critical to bring the value. Now, some companies, LLM definitely have huge amount of knowledge in it, some companies have already started to focus, especially with RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generator, to be able to bring documents and really proprietary information of the enterprise to the LLM. K2View is really focusing also on bringing the structured data, the data inside the application, where the most critical information of the enterprise is, and really power the LLM with that data.
Mhm. Okay, that's pretty interesting in terms of how you're catering to the GenAI and the RAG. I've been listening and I've been, talking to so many leaders in this space. Do you also get that question a lot from enterprises? And I'm pretty sure you might be getting that question about, oh, how do we start with AI, about GenAI? How do we get into, what is RAG? Tell us more about it. How do we get ready for GenAI and RAG specific activities? Do you get that question often as well, Ronen?
Definitely, and I think there are two questions. I think the first one question is, how do I start with Gen AI? You're so
True.
excited on a personal level. You start to use and get the value from it, and how do you bring it into the enterprise, and how do you really are making sure that you're doing it successfully in a secured way, because the enterprise data is also something that is very, very sensitive, the customer information. How to make sure that this is all secured and protected as you are bringing this value is really a critical part. The second question that I hear a lot is, how do I make the LLM answers grounded and
Mhm.
personalized? There is really a lot of premise in the technology, but there's also a concern: are my answers grounded? Are they actually connected to the reality and basically the environment that surrounds that the enterprise is living in? So this is definitely another question that I this is definitely another question that I hear a lot.
Okay, that's awesome, and thanks for sharing those details, Ronin. Definitely something pretty interesting for our audience. So, what do you think? Is Gen AI really changing the world? Since everyone's kind of talking about it, I'm kind of curious to learn from you.
Yes, so for me, the best example to tell you that it is changing the world is if I'm looking into my personal life. So we're just coming out of the summer vacation, and
Yes.
in the summer vacation, I don't know how many trips you took, but I'm in charge in my family and sometimes setting up the itinerary.
Oh
And I'm
wow.
going to try and do something brave, even braver than setting the family itinerary, which is a risky thing of its own. Let me try and see if I can show you a little bit of a demo, and I'll start actually with just telling you how did I plan my last trip.
I would love to
So let
see that, and I'm pretty sure our audience would love to see that as well. Let's do a trip itinerary here with Ronin, so it's gonna be interesting. I'll get some
Yes.
tips how to what types of prompts do we need for trip itinerary and how does it all work. Let's look at it much more in depth. All right, your screen is now up, Ronin. So show us
So in
more
the
about.
past, one of the things that I would do when going into a trip is I will start typing, which is, what should I see in Venice in a weekend, right? And
Right,
what you can see here, and unfortunately there is some sponsored links and so on, I'll usually start to run into either the picture that shows you some of the beautiful places in Venice, but more likely
right,
I'm going to basically start opening a few of these websites and then start browsing through the different options. And then I will
right,
create an Excel sheet so that it's all organized. I'll try to measure the distance between the different places that I'm actually visiting and come with an itinerary. And
right.
um, I have 3 kids, so it will also have to be adjusted to what the kids would like to do. But
Exactly,
this summer, that's
exactly.
not what I did. After many, many years of following this best practice, this is not what I did this summer. This
Yes,
summer, I
I
went into
yeah, I think that is something what everyone does as well. This is what most of the people usually do. Where even if you ask me, I would go and type in and then see what are the places, even look at the pictures. Okay, leaving the sponsored part apart. But yeah, that's like the general practice. But now let's see what you did this summer.
So instead of just basically browsing through the website, reading to it, printing a few pages, and kind of summarizing, I went
Yeah.
into ChatGPT and really typed the same question. But when you're talking to ChatGPT, you actually have an opportunity to do something that is even better. Instead of basically asking about what should I see in Venice, I can actually say, help me with an itinerary. Oh, if I can spell it right. Okay, Venice for a weekend,
Right.
and I can even say with kids.
Okay.
And what you see here is actually pretty amazing, which is I don't need to do the calculation to look into the mapping and do a few other things. I basically can very quickly see a full itinerary. And I can continue and then further adjust it. I can give the kids ages, their preference, what it is that they like to do. I can do all of that very quickly.
Right.
So this is really exciting. It saves a lot of time for me, and I will testify firsthand. It also increased the quality of the trip. The trip was better. The ChatGPT did a marvelous job. You can see actually even a few tips in here. But a 2 days itinerary that would take me a few hours to create, done in a second. So I
And
think ChatGPT definitely changed my vacation.
yeah, and Ronan, does it also help you choose the distance which are closer to each other? Like if you go in the afternoon, the places that ChatGPT is recommending are closer to each other, so you can cover it at once in the same afternoon.
Definitely, and you can actually go ahead and say, I will like to verify the
Oh
distances
wow!
between points are not more than X, and the answer will change. So
Oh
it's a real game changer. Um,
yeah.
and Ravi, I will say this: my kids do the same across their homework at school as well. So it's not just limited to the itinerary in Venice.
That's
Um,
the power of GenAI. Yes.
yes, but unfortunately, when it comes to work, not all the sources like where to visit in Venice are as easily available
True.
as it is to build a trip.
Yes.
So basically, if I take the same ChatGPT that we just saw right now, and let's say that I work for a telco company or a retailer, and I want to help, right? I want to help a customer that has a problem right now. Let's say that at this time, like something is wrong with my modem, the internet is slow or not working, or something like that, and I want to type a question, right? Like which is Ronen's internet is slow, and
Mhm.
Ronen's internet is slow. What can I do? Or maybe I'll do even not slow is not working. What can I do? And what you see in here is that basically ChatGPT is giving an answer, and the answer is very well written. However, this answer is actually not grounded. The answer is a very generic answer. ChatGPT doesn't know that I'm on the Ravid show right now and doing a live streaming. It actually cannot take into consideration many other items about the fact that I'm using an internet service from company X, that I'm basically have issues in my regions, etc. These things are basically not available for the answer, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
what you're getting is a generic answer only.
Exactly.
And this is something that K2View has basically solving and coming to help customers. So if they would like to have Gen AI technologies in general, we're using here ChatGPT as an example, really bring the value to the business. So let me try and basically show you a very, very quick glance at the demo. It's worth a longer demo, and we'll love to share it with the audience in more
Oh
time,
yeah.
but let me do something very, very quickly. So let's say that you're a customer of, we just did a telco example, so let's do a telco example. Let's say that I'm a customer of a telco, like David Smith, for example. And I want to put the same problem as the problem that I just wrote here.
Yep.
Internet is not working. What can I do? And behind the scenes, Ravi, just so that the audience understand what we're seeing, behind the scene, it is the same LLM that is working.
Yeah.
What you see here in the demo, and it's very impressive because you see it happening live in sub-seconds, you can see that even though it's the same LLM, the question is the same question, the answer is actually very, very different.
Different. Wow.
Yes, it actually is calling out the fact that there are outstanding invoices and payments, and is actually recommended for David to pay, or it's recommending the agent to recommend to David to basically address the invoice issues. And it's also calling out that there is an active service outage. So what you are seeing is basically the answer grounded with real-time information, real information from the backend systems about the status of the payment or invoices and the status of the network. So this is very, very different answer, different value, grounded and really helping the customer address the problem. I'm going to take a little bit of a risk and I'm going to show what is happening behind the scenes, but
Yeah, would
again, I'm
love
going to
to
do
see
it
that.
like I'm going to do it only touching it very, very quickly. Basically, what is happening behind the scenes is that K2View is offering to the LLM to ask queries. K2View is actually giving the LLM, it's giving the LLM a full schema of all the information that we know about the customer and the network. You can see the schema here, and really encouraging the LLM that if the LLM needs more information, it can actually write SQL statement and ask for more data. And this is exactly what the LLM is doing. The LLM is writing a query, asking about things like invoices and outages and so on, and getting an answer. And if the answer is not sufficient, the LLM can write an additional query and get even more information. So suddenly, the LLM is basically enriched with the backend data of the enterprise and able to give a very valuable result. Instead of like, hey, restart the router, restarting the router is not going to pay the invoice payment problem. It is also not going to solve the outage. So now the answer is grounded with reality.
Yeah, I love it in terms of how in the backend the queries kind of start running, and then it kind of helps them to get a resolution which kind of makes a lot of sense. So which is fantastic.
Perfect. Ravi, this is also the point that it is an LLM-based environment. You can ask any question, anything you want to try and ask
I
the
would,
LLM.
yeah, I would like to actually ask. I was kind of wondering about, because since it's about the invoices, I kind of felt that can we also ask maybe around the if it can actually summarize the outstanding invoices and how I can pay. Maybe something on those lines would make it easier.
So can you share more information on the outstanding invoices? Okay. And what you're saying is that basically the LLM is communicating behind the scenes, getting more information, and look at that, right? Some open bill
Wow.
on the home internet, on the cable and satellite, and streamlined services. So really you can get access to the relevant information and of course having a very productive conversation with the LLM.
This is game
Um,
changer for sure, because it kind of gives you like everything in detail in respect to what you're working on, about your account, about the details, and that's fantastic. And K2 View powers it, which is fantastic.
Exactly. K2View is actually this critical bridge that bring in front of you the customer data. It really is empowering the LLM with the customer data so that it helps ground the answers with the relevant information.
Hmm.
Um, Ravit, I really appreciate you letting me squeeze a demo in here. I was trying to really show the audience how things really work. The
I
UI is
love it.
just a demo UI, but for every customer that is building a chatbot, the power of your backend data is there.
It is very important for people to, obviously for enterprise leaders, this is like the missing piece, and this is what they really, want to see as when they want to start a journey in Gen AI or into the RAG space. They want to see the real results where the customers kind of get the ease of, just typing in and getting all the details in front of them. And that it kind of saves time for not only just for the enterprise, for the customer care, but for the customer itself, because the things are so eased up for them. So that's one big missing piece that you kind of touched on. I'm kind of also wanting to discuss a little about. So let's start at the top. When you talk about enterprise data, what are you exactly referring to? What does it look like, just for our audience? Because I'm pretty sure it's like massive data that you're working with. So how do you ease up things, and what exactly this enterprise data is?
So enterprise data is really the data that is powering the work that is happening in the enterprise on a daily basis. To be a little
Hmm.
bit more specific, this is basically the information that is inside the CRM, the customer relationship and management system. It is the information inside the ERP about the products and so on, right? So if CRMs are Salesforce is a good example, an ERP, it's SAP and Oracle and ServiceNow. It is information from your customer service applications. There's also information that is just residing inside databases. Like, we saw the outages. This is actually being logged by an operational system. So
Yep.
this is another part of the information. It can include information like billing information and payment information. This is information that typically is locked in few tens of applications that are critical for the organization. This is
Hmm.
basically the information that in my 25 years we have integrated into the data warehouse, we have integrated it into data marts, and so on for the purposes of analytics. Now we're basically bringing it to empower or to power the LLM answers.
And that's fantastic insights on it that you kind of shared. And I've always heard, not only just from the enterprise leaders, but from a lot of vendors as well, that it is difficult for the enterprise data to uh, get solutions like chatbot or things like that. So what's your opinion about that? Why is it so hard to use enterprise data for LLM-based solutions like a chatbot, or for something else? Any thoughts around that, Ronen?
Yeah, so integration was never easy, but integration of data into Gen AI technologies, LLM, chatbot that are powered by LLM actually brings some new challenges or new versions of the challenges. Let me
Hmm.
highlight just a few of them.
Sure.
The first one, which is very, very obvious, is that the data is fragmented across many, many sources. There, in a typical enterprise, as I already mentioned, it's probably 20, 30 different applications that have in total the knowledge that is required. But more
Right.
than that, once you shifted to the LLM-based world, part of the value you're bringing is that you're allowing anybody to ask any question and really ask the question now and expect the answer now, right? So anybody can ask any question and expect the answer now. This is actually putting a whole new set of pressure on the system. So
Hmm.
scalability and performance. Anybody asking any questions means a lot of parallel queries running, right? So you have to be able to deal with scale in a different level. Anybody is asking any question, it means that people with less knowledge are asking the questions. So data quality and consistency and grounding of the answer is really, really critical.
True.
Ravi, you and I are having this fluent conversation. The expectation from an LLM is to have a fluent conversation. So
Exactly.
latency is really unacceptable, right? Like you want real-time answers, just like the conversation you and I are having right now.
Exactly.
Um, it also, and I think for some people, it's almost the top requirement is that there is actually governance and compliance and really implemented security. Because the fact that anybody can ask any question is also putting a whole new set of risks around this. So I would definitely say scalability to a new level, grounding of the data quality and consistency, real time and lower latency, governance and compliance, and data security. And this is, and to this level, it's something that all data management, all the integration platforms are
Mhm.
not able to rise to the challenge. An organization really need to find a way to address it in order to get the full value of their LLM potential.
Yeah, no, I think those are fantastic pillars. I would say that you've kind of mentioned about when it comes to how difficult it is, but then those are the few things that those are the few pillars I would say people need to keep in mind when you're kind of obviously looking at enterprise data for solutions like chatbot or other things as well when you're working in the Gen AI space. And even in my experience, I've spoken to so many leaders like yourself, Ronan. I always hear something, Gen AI is fantastic, people love it. But then again, it goes back to, these types of pillars like data quality you mentioned about consistency, you mentioned about real time access. No, there's no chance anyone likes the latency, right? And obviously, data governance, which kind of plays a very important role. But another big thing that you mentioned was about data security and privacy, and that's what I'm kind of also is my follow-up question is about what about security? How do you look at that when it comes to Gen AI? How do you kind of manage with that, because that's one important piece as well. So kind of curious to learn from you
Yes.
more.
Yeah, so right, it's actually not a surprise that it's coming in this conversation. I'll be very open. I hear it a lot in every conversation. The question of security and privacy really
Privacy.
comes up as a major challenge and really a major concern that even in some organizations is limiting how fast they're adopting Gen
Mhm.
AI. Um, and it's actually the whole concept of LLM, and even when you're adding um, retrieval augmentation into the LLM, is about proximity of the data and actually bringing the right data into the sentence in the most relevant time. Putting actually security and privacy over that is a major issue. Imagine that you're
Mhm.
asking a question and as the answer you're getting somebody else's credit card information, or you're getting visibility to somebody else's um, contract and business terms, right? Like these are big no's to every organization, and it actually is a major risk. This is why inside LLM, there is a massive effort. Sometimes it falls under the name of guardrails that are coming
Mhm.
to basically ensure that the information that is coming is really not including sensitive information. It really is um, guarded into and to be only the one that is allowed to share with the customer. This is where I sometimes have the opportunity to explain to the customer, like in the demo that we saw earlier, that
Mhm.
K2View is really enabling only the one customer data to be connected into the LLM. So
Right.
it's not just about security and guardrails, it's really about full isolation when only the relevant information is available for the LLM and the relevant information is masked so that information that is sensitive is not available to the LLM from the get-go. So if somebody is concerned about the fact that you can convince the LLM to share more information, you can convince the LLM to run around some limitation, that's why you need very strong guardrails. we actually believe that the guardrail starts with isolating the information that is available for the LLM. And that's why
Yeah.
in the demo that I showed you, the minute that I chose David as the customer, the only data that became available for the LLM was the data from David, the service that
David.
David is using, and all
Yeah.
the sensitive information has been masked.
Yeah.
I think really security and privacy is at the core. Building the right guardrails is critical, and I'm recommending to anybody looking into that, guardrail the information that is available from the get-go. Do not just guard the answer, because figuring out how the answer was achieved, what was part of the LLM process is not easy, and in most cases not even possible.
Yeah, so it's very important to obviously keep the data secure, but at the same time focus on the security and privacy areas as well. And thanks for sharing about guardrails in those topics. It is something which is pretty interesting for me. But I'm kind of also curious now. I know there are a lot of questions that I have on, but these are something kind of connected to each other, which is also around how organizations trying to use enterprise data for Gen AI today, because I'm pretty sure there are various industries using data in different ways. So, kind of curious to learn more about, or maybe in the Gen AI, it's like one uniform way how everyone kind of uses it. So, kind of curious to learn more about that as well, Ron.
Yes. So basically, as you and I already achieved in this conversation, the backend data, the information from the enterprise system is really, really critical. So you
Yep.
can't achieve really the value of the LLM without connecting for many, many use cases with the backend data. So this is where I've seen, talking to customers, I've seen them taking mainly two approaches. The first one is they're basically writing functions, and these functions' goal is basically to go against, to basically run a query through an API or directly to a backend system. And these functions are connected into a term called agents. And the agents kind of control the flow and the steps, including putting guardrails and other things around the
Right.
information that was received from the backend data. I would say that in general, especially for people like me that have enough gray hair of the integration problem, starting to create many functions that go against many backend system is what we used to call the integration hairball. This is basically means that anywhere you're hitting the backend system in an uncontrolled way, putting at risk operational systems that cannot necessarily answer the load. It also actually is putting a huge pressure on security and privacy, because once you're entering that
Mm.
system with a query, the answer that you're getting is actually not controlled. But some of the organization that I've seen, they actually started to feel the hairball from the sense of maintenance. Whenever a backend system is changing, you need to change all the functions that are somewhere calling to that system to make sure it's up to date. Um, so I think more and more organizations, especially as they start to put more than the first function, they're saying like, hey, this is not the right approach. So some
Mm.
of them are actually looking into the second option, which is why wouldn't I actually ask my data warehouse or my data lake or my lakehouse? Why would I ask the
Right.
lakehouse this question? And the data warehouse or the data lake, they have a lot of information from many of the backend systems. So it sounds like a good approach. The main challenge that you have is that the data warehouse and the data lake actually are lacking fresh information. This is
Mhm.
information that is brought into the lake in an extract, transform, and load ETL process an hour ago, a day ago, 2 days ago. And the second problem that you have is this good data warehouse performance is running something in a few minutes or an hour. This is really a scale is coming here by parallel execution, but it is execution within minutes. So it is a bad fit. It's not a good fit for conversational interfaces. I want to raise two more challenges here.
Yeah. For
The
sure.
first one is running a query over a data warehouse with information of millions of customers and millions of invoices is not only taking you a long time, it is also very costly. Compute
Mm.
cost and other costs are starting to ramp up.
Exactly.
And this is also where you're opening yourself to a major security risk. You're running a query against a data warehouse where all the information of all the customers is available. So it is
Mhm.
requiring you to invest very heavily in guardrails and other things. So data warehouse is expensive. It has security challenges. It is actually does not have a fresh information, and it also not a good conversational interface. So that actually is pushing the customers to looking into an alternative, and this is where I think K2View is really changing the way customer can interact with enterprise data and really solving this problem.
Yeah, I love those points in how you kind of put together. That's a lot of information, but very critical information that you mentioned about Ronin. So thanks for that. Also, quickly, I know we are almost time. I wanted to know a little about. Can you tell me more about the current projects you're working on? Can we know a little bit inside what's happening at K2View? What are you working on? And what can the audience expect in the next 3 to 6 months, or maybe a year?
Um, yes, so I think if I look into what we are working with customers today is really about um, improving the customer experience working with the enterprise. It can be
Mm-hmm.
in a support side, it can be in the sales side, it can be in the way they partner with the organization. And we do it in two ways. One is really directly empowering the customer to ask the enterprise questions. Um,
Yeah.
how would I how would I use this service? Why is my service not working? How can I get a better performance, better cost? Why did
Mhm.
my bill change, and so on.
Exactly.
The other one is in some organizations they are concerned about letting the customer talk directly to the data, so they're actually doing it through agents. So basically, their own people, instead of using many screens with a lot of data points, they're basically leveraging the LLM to help them. From the first second, the LLM can summarize the customer situation with the
Oh,
latest problem and communication, right? So the minute that
yeah.
I'm going on the call, I already know everything that happened between the customer and the organization across the entire business. Then when the customer is asking questions, I can automatically get the relevant information pop up and even pop up in a summarized way. And just like you and I in the short demo were able to ask more and more questions, this is really
True.
empowering the agent productivity and the quality of the conversation way higher. To your second part of the question, which is what K2View is working on, K2View, beyond supporting these customers in going live and really get the full value, we're working on a few very exciting areas. How you're
Okay.
actually able to combine um, documents and unstructured data with structured data in the most efficient way so that you can ask more sophisticated question is an
Mhm.
area that we're innovating a lot.
Yeah.
Another one is how can you bring value into the chat communication in a fast way? Can we show the value in the first hour working with K2View? A lot of exciting work done there. Um, and last but very important, we're helping our customer really quantify the value that they're getting from the LLM and from the power of enterprise data inside the LLM. So really validating the value and helping the LLM get more value is another area of great innovation. It is a very exciting time to be in the technology and the data side. And I'm really proud of the K2View team for really leading the chart in how to get enterprise data to bring LLM value.
We are loving it, Ronin, and the work that you guys are doing is fantastic, and definitely this is great information. I can't wait for the current project to go live, and what you're working on, I'm pretty sure is huge for not only just your customers but also those who would like to, get into this space. Y'all are doing some pretty good stuff. But I would love to thank you. Obviously, I can keep the conversation going and it wouldn't get over because you have such great insights. But I know K2V will be at different places. I'll mostly meet you at AWS reInvent next. So we'll chat more about different things and we'll have more updates for our audience. One last question I would like to ask for our audience is if they want to reach out to you, if they want to learn more about K2View, where can they do it? Is LinkedIn a good place, or email, or somewhere else?
So definitely LinkedIn is a good place. Ronen Schwartz on LinkedIn. It's very easy to find. Ronen.schwartz at k2view.com is another very easy way to find me. So if you look at the bottom of the screen, you can get the spelling right. But today, like any other modern company, just going into k2view.com, and there is a chat bot, and you can actually ask for me to reach, or the team to reach back to you. I'm really looking forward, Ravi, to seeing you again, and I encourage the audience to continue the communication and to get as much value of LLM. There is a lot that we can do.
Yeah, I loved it, and thanks for sharing all the great insight once again. Thanks, Ronin, for visiting the Rabbit Show. Looking forward to meeting you, and thanks to our audience for staying with us, asking questions to Ronin. Such a pleasure. Go connect with Ronin. Check out the K2View website and learn more about the amazing and the interesting things that they are doing in Gen AI and data space. Thanks, Ronin, once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.